Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Beeson and welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be doing my final part of my Met Gala review. This will be 3 of 3 parts, and I will have the links down in the description for part 1 and 2 if you would be interested in watching those, and I'll also maybe put them up there as well. But this is my last bunch of looks for Met Gala in general. This will be my closing out for the event before we just move on to other things. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. We are going to start with Dua Lipa in Chanel, and I think this is a very nice Chanel look. I feel like all of the Chanel looks, I'm not sure, I think there were 4 in total to my memory. I think they were all successes, which is good, and I think this look is, it feels like it definitely leans much more into like the 20s outside of the sheer part of the dress and then the jacket on top. It definitely feels a little bit more 20s, but I do like it. I do like the layering of the different textural things. I love the hair and I love the makeup. The styling is very well done. I do prefer Lupita's and Jenny's look the most over this one, but I do still like this one. I love that it's all black and then all of the detail comes from either the texture of the fabric itself, or there are so many different embellishments and things to add some depth to this look. It definitely feels very Chanel, which is good, but it's not anything like old feeling or anything like that. It definitely feels much more youthful. I think Dua looks super good in this, and I think it's a very well done look. And for me, Chanel can be very hit or miss, and I think for this Met Gala, Chanel did a good job. But it should, because this type of dress code, the tailored for you, Chanel should do good with this theme. So I'm happy that all of the looks, for the most part, basically the ones that I'm remembering, they were all good and different. They weren't anywhere near the same as each other, and I think this Dua Lipa look is a great one. I do. I think it's very good. And then we have a Doja Cat in Marc Jacobs, and I love this look. I think this look is so fun, and it definitely feels like way more like 80s for the most part, which for this I think works. I'm not usually a fan of 80s fashion for the most part, but I do like this. I think all the way from her hair to her shoe, it's a full picture and a full fashion character, and I think it's very well done. I love the extra dramatic shoulder. I think that just adds a very well done shape. I love the pinstripe being sparkly and having that detail and not just being a regular pinstripe. The satin solid black lapels is great, and then the little additive of the white brooch is very nice. But the animal print is the main part of this look. It obviously adds the shape, and then it adds a textural difference, and it's super fun. I really like this look because it's different to what everyone else is wearing. There were very few animal print looks, one, but everyone went a little bit more historical with their looks. And not saying that the 80s isn't history, but they all went further into history than something that was only a few decades ago. So I love seeing that switch up. It's obviously very much on theme and to the dress code. I think she looks great. I love the makeup. The color palette that was chosen for the makeup, particularly that red lip, so very good. I think the main thing that I really love about this is just, and I've said this, is just how fun it is. It has a great shape to it, and the animal print adds an even more interesting shape to it from the front and the back because it's on both sides. I like this look. I think it's just different to what everyone else was doing, and I appreciate that it was different, and I see the direction, and I think it's just so fun again for the 1000th time. And I think she looks gorgeous and I like it. I like the look. And then we have Sofia Richie Grainge and Tommy Hilfiger. I don't know if I said her last name right. I apologize if I didn't. But she was in Tommy Hilfiger and I absolutely love this look. It's not super on the nose with the tailored for you dress code. However, there are little elements that make it part of the dress code, particularly if you look at the back, because the back is what has all of the detail, from the backwards neckline to the opening and then the big added little bunch of, I forget what it's called, the fabric that is poofed and flowing down the back. If you take away the back details, it is just a very nice, very pretty dress, but you put all of that stuff back, it just makes the look much more interesting. And the back also brings a little bit more of the historical referencing to it. Now, to me, it doesn't feel overly tailored for you, if I'm being honest, but it does still have like the back aspects to make it feel just that historical reference to how dresses were in, is it a bustle? I think it's a bustle. It's now coming to me. I think it's a bustle in the back. Those were part of looks, dresses that women wore back in the 1800s and that 19th century, and that's part of this theme. And then I think they also did it in like early 20th century, but that's like part of the theme. So in my brain, I will let it slide that it doesn't really feel overly tailored for you, because it's not really tailored, even if there are, of course, there are dart lines on the bust and then it fits her well, it's shaped well, it just doesn't feel overly tailored. But with the historical viewpoint, it works for me. But I honestly love this look, and I love that the detail is that satiny, more off-white ivory color to add something to it. But I think she looks gorgeous. I do really love this look. I think it's so pretty, and even if you take the detail stuff off the back, it's such a nice, simple white dress. And I love that it's like a short sleeve and everything. I love this look, and it's honestly one of my favorites just in general of something that I really like, regardless of how on dress code it really is. But in my brain, it is still technically on theme with the historical stuff, so it works for me, and I love this look. And then we have a Jasmine Tooks in Ruth E. Carter, and again, costume designer, Oscar-winning costume designer, so I expected something great, and this is great. It's kind of like what Zendaya and Anna Sawai wore in terms of it being an all-white tailored look with the hat, but it's very different, of course. Everything about this look is amazing. The cane, love. The hat, love. The cape, love. The shape of the actual suit, love. The belt, the big chunky belt. I love that the tie, bow tie number that they did feels a little different, doesn't feel too standard to a tie or a bow tie. The gloves are great, and I love that the actual cape has detailing in it. There's little like fringe sparkly moments on the inside if you really look, and I think that's super cute. It just adds a little something to it. And then there's also the little brooch hidden into it. I just love that it's basically a super monochromatic singular color. I know there's more like white in the gloves for sure, and then I think kind of in the hat and then in the bow, but the rest of it, the actual suit and then the cape, is all generally the same kind of color. I love this look. The shoe works. I think the shoe works. That gold shoe works with the rest of the look. I just love this look. I think the three, which are Zendaya, Anna Sawai, and then Jasmine, these three all white looks were so well done. And yes, there are definitely similar things, especially with Zendaya and Anna's look, but I loved these all white looks. It's just something about the all white look first, and then the hat, which just throws it over the edge for me. And then all of them are fit well, the tailoring is done well, they're of course on theme, and I think they're just very good looks. And I love this look from Jasmine Tookes. I think she looks gorgeous, and I just love the detail work and the way that you could have just gone with a very simple tailored suit, but you added to it by having this little cape in there, and I love it. Accessories, head to toe, love it. And then we have Lana Del Rey and Valentino, and I really like this look, especially from the front. The back has like the lace panel, which isn't my favorite, but it adds a little something to it. But from the front, I absolutely love this look. To me, I'm not 100% sure it is like on theme for the tailored for you. I'm having a hard time really kind of finding those elements. However, it does feel very vintage, just with a little bit of that Valentino flair into it. And I do like it because it does feel like that vintagey sort of vibe that I generally just love. Anyways, I love the contrast with the velvet on top and then the more satiny on the bottom, and then of course there's that lace on the back, which isn't my favorite. And then we have on the shoulder the big giant bow that then has these big feathers falling down the back. It just adds a little something to it. I do love this look. It's not, at least to me, particularly on theme, but that's okay. Or I'm just missing the theme. I could totally be missing the theme and not really understand it, which is totally a thing that could be an option. But I do just love kind of the energy of this look, the shape of this skirt, having it be kind of the big and flowy. It just feels vintage, and I love it for that reason. The hair is super pretty, the makeup is done very well. I mean, she's gorgeous. And then there's like the little alligator. I think they're the earrings that are like the alligator stuff for her husband. I love this look, regardless of how on theme it may or may not actually be. It's just something that I personally love, and I think she's absolutely gorgeous, and she looks stunning in this look. And then we have Andra Day and Jerome Lamaar, and I absolutely love this look. Love it. Head to toe, love it. And I love that the shoe matches the suit. But if we look at this suit, part of what I absolutely love about this is that it could have been a very simple, standard, tailored suit, but they went the extra mile with the jacket itself for a few reasons. Firstly, there is no sleeve and then a glove. It is a sleeve and glove if you actually really look at it. The jacket is the glove. It goes all the way down to her hands, and I think that's such an interesting thing to do. I don't think I've ever really seen that too often. It doesn't really happen all that much, I don't think, at least with like gloves. I could be wrong, but I have not seen it. So I thought that was a very interesting detail first. And then the second main thing is, if you look at the jacket, the train has more of like a petal shape to it. So it's not just a draped and done jacket. It has these interesting shapes that look like petals to me. They could be flower petals or like maybe a leaf shape or something. Regardless, it has that shape to it to add even more design detail to it. And then there's just the other embellishment details that are a part of the jacket that are either on the train or they go up a little bit more on the torso. There's stitching details in it if you look close enough that also pull back into the dress code a little bit more into, at least in my brain, a little bit more into the actual tailoring, physically tailoring something type of aesthetic. There's the tiny little details on the lapels. I love everything about this look. The opera glasses, I love that. Love, love, love that. The jewelry is great. I love how the hair is done. I love the way that her hair color contrasts with the pink. I love that little combination. The makeup is great. This is one of my favorite looks. I just love the pink. I love the shape. I love the little cinch with the jacket. And I just love all of the little design details that happened that really weren't anywhere else, like the sleeve glove thing and then the petal train. It was just very interesting and a great way of making a tailored look have more personality, have a little bit more fun, and have a little bit more visual interest to it. And I absolutely love this look. I just love it. And then we have Danielle Deadwyler in Who Decides War. I think this is a very well done look because it is just so interesting. It has a lot of aspects to it that makes it different. There's so many pieces and layers to it. It has a just about standard white button-down shirt like many suits do, but the neckline looks so different and it has like that thicker strip to it that I think is really interesting visually. And then you go into the rest of the look with that more off-white kind of ivory color that has these strips across, and then it has somewhat of a corsetry type shape for the torso with the little detail lines on the front, and then it has the ties and the eyelets down the sides, and then it goes into the ruched skirt, the first part of the skirt, that I think is a really interesting shape. You could get rid of the bottom part that is like draped and hanging, and I think that look itself would be really interesting, but when you add the last part, which is the draped part, it just adds a little bit more to it. It's more shape to it, and I think it's visually very interesting, but it also seems like it's a very deconstructed type of look. A lot of the fabric feels like muslin, and there's like lines that kind of look like the sketching out of lines. It feels very unfinished, but like that's the whole point, because it's showing line work and detail work of this particular garment and the shape and then design inspiration and all of that stuff. I think this is such a fun look. It's a very interesting look. I like the color palette. I love that neutral, and just the design points as you make your way down the look is super cool to look at because each part is so different, and it just tells a story in my brain of creation when it comes to a garment. And I really love this look. I think the styling is great. I don't love the shoe, but I can look past the shoe. I love her face. The makeup is great. It's not overly complicated. The styling is definitely focused on the actual look, and that has all of the details. So I think encompassing as a whole look, very well done. I love this look. I just think it's so interesting visually. And then we have Cynthia Erivo in Givenchy, and I love this look. I think it's so pretty, and it's got a different interpretation to the Tailored for You. The focal point, you would think, would be the massive tulle skirt train moment, but to me it is not. It is the crazy embellished and stunning shape of the torso and the jacket that looks to be a backwards jacket shape that I love. I think it's just so interesting. Gives such an interesting shape. I love the way that it comes in to her body and just shapes really well. It looks stiff, but I think to me, I like that it looks stiffer, especially because it's two pieces. It's the corset bust that gives the stiff shape there, and then it's the jacket that has the bigger arms and then the uplift of the backwards jacket into it. It is so well done. I loved the backwards tailored looks from Givenchy's runway, and I love it here. It's so well done, and I love the embellishments everywhere. The red with the more like crystal and everything, and the designs that were done, especially on that stiffer kind of black matte shape of the corset. Love this look. I think the only thing that I don't fully love is the bottom. To me, it like almost, it fits, but it almost just doesn't for my personal aesthetic. But as a totality, I think it works. I think I would have wished for something different. It didn't need to be much different. It could have just been maybe a different fabric, or it molded into the skirting for the train a little bit more. I think it just needed mesh a little bit more. But I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. But as a total look, love, 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 love. And I love that the embellishments that are on, obviously the main part with the top, it's on the details of her little bag, it's on her shoe, and they kind of incorporated it in her makeup with the tiny little, you know, Queen of Hearts, like little red lip thing. And I think she looks gorgeous. I love this look, but the top part is, to me, the best part of this look. I think Cynthia looks gorgeous. I love this look. I love the drama of it, and this backwards tailored moment I absolutely love, and these embellishments, love it. I love this look regardless of my little critique. I absolutely love it. Next is LaKeith Stanfield in Ferragamo, and quickly, I think this is a very nice look. I love how simple but interesting this look is, because it is fairly simple. There's not a lot going on in terms of the designs. Obviously there's the jacket that has a bit more of like an extra bit of the kind of like a train part to it, and then it has the very dramatic scarf thing that goes across and onto the floor. Those are like the design elements that make it a little bit more special in how it was created. But outside of that, it's like fairly clean, simple. The shape of the trouser is obviously a little different, but it is still a very nice clean trouser. And then the white is also very clean, but it's a little different. Like everything about this look is standard, but like not standard because it's a little different. And I like that about this. It's not crazy. It's a nice break from a lot of the more interesting and some wilder looks that the guys were wearing. I think this look is very clean. I love the little pop of the red. The hat, love the hat, but I also really like that the hat and then the shirt is white, while the scarf and the jacket seems a little bit more off-white. I like having that different color bounce to break it up just a little bit. I think this is a very nice look. I think he looks very handsome in the look. It works for the theme for the dress code. It's a very nice look. One of my more favorite menswear looks, despite being more simple, but it's the things that makes this look a look that I just really love, and it's very nice. I mean, he's very handsome, so this works. Definitely works. And then we have Damson Idris in Tommy Hilfiger, and this is more so, I mean, there was a whole theatrical thing that has to do with the F1 movie that's coming out that he, I'm assuming, is a part of. And he came out, I think there was like a little F1 car, I think. And then he came in to the blue carpet wearing the helmet and a racing suit before he ripped it off to get to this red one. And firstly, I love the theatrics. I think it's very fun. It adds to it. And the entrance was very fun because of it. I think this red look is very nice. I love that the right panel has the more like gold yellowy line detailing to it, while this side is super clean and has nothing except for the brooch and then the chain that goes with it. I really like the way that the vest, I believe it's a vest, has the same matching red, and then the white button shirt is up. I like how generally simple it is, but it has those little design aspects to it, from the yellow lining on the right to the brooch chain on the left, and then adding just like the little white to go, and then the shoe is also red, which I like. So I like that it is basically a red look, just with the little breakup of detail in those different colors. And the helmet, I just need to say, this helmet has around like 20,000 Swarovski crystals on it. That's wild to me. It's crazy that they did the F1 thing in the first place. I don't think I've ever really seen something as showy as this. So I liked this look just because it was so fun and so theatrical and had a little bit of a storyline to it. But taking away all that stuff and looking at just this red suit, I like it. I think the pant is good. Everything about this is good. The styling is good. The gloves are good, because there's also gloves. I like that it's all cohesive in red with those little color details in the other detail aspects. It's a very good look to me. The entrance was far more entertaining though, but the look is good. And then lastly, we have Lizzo and Christian Siriano, and I think this is a very nice look. I think she looks gorgeous. Her shape is very good. I honestly love this blonde on her. I think it totally works. The makeup, I love the dark lip. But this look, I feel like, is such a good way of doing this dress code, but still making it super elegant, very good for her shape and her curves. I love that even though obviously there is that little cropped suited jacket that has lapels and everything, so that is literally there and it's on her shoulders. I love that the dress carries through other aspects of tailoring. Obviously the darker part has corsetry boning kind of lining throughout it. If you look at it, that's where like more of that shape comes in, so there's that aspect, and obviously it cinches, and then going into her hips and down into her legs, it still has a little bit of that lining before the pinned fabric adds the big full kind of mermaidy train part of the bottom of the skirt. I honestly do really like this look. The shape is good. Like the shape of her, it fits so very, very well. And I love that the mermaid skirting part looks like it is like pinned. So it's almost like actual completed tailored going into maybe more of like a deconstructed type tailoring. And this is a very dramatic look, but it is really pretty, and I do think it is very elegant, and it just has those little things to make it just a little bit more interesting. I think she looks gorgeous in this, and I think this is definitely one of her, for me, this is definitely one of her better looks. And I think it's just because the shape that they were able to achieve and getting the dress to fit the way that it does really, really makes it sells the look. So I love this look, and I love this hair on her. I think she looks so good in this platinum blonde. And the makeup again is good, everything good. I do love this look. I think she looks gorgeous. And that is it for my Met Gala 2025 review. Lots and lots of looks. Met Gala is such a huge fashion event for obviously celebrities and people in fashion and fashion lovers. Big event, so lots and lots of looks. I think this year's dress code for the Tailored For You was a very good dress code. I loved this dress code, and it gave way to a lot of different interpretations, especially when you also add in the exhibition theme into it, and just how people chose to interpret the theme and the dress code. Lots of things that I expected, but there were also lots of things that were very different, and so many of the looks were so very good. There were others that I just didn't love. Maybe they were a little too busy, or I didn't understand the reference. And then there were definitely looks that just didn't make sense because they like weren't on theme, or you know, the normal. There isn't always going to be 100% on theme because that never happens for the Met Gala. But I'm happy that this theme, everyone, for the most part, of course not 100%, but lots of people really kind of went with the dress code and went with the theme and created something. It might not have worked, but like they still did it. And I loved so many of the looks for this year's Met Gala. I think it was successful in how people interpreted it, and I loved it, and I loved the dress code. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this bunch of looks, as well as what your thoughts were on the Met Gala in general. Did you like the theme? Did you like the dress code? Were you happy with the looks? I'd love to hear your opinion on this year's gala, so you can drop a comment down below for that. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I will have part 1 and 2 of my review linked somewhere if you would like to go and watch those. But this is the end of my Met Gala 2025 review and the end of the video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!